Welcome everyone to Heart Snuggles. We're so happy you're here today. And I brought on one of my besties that I actually only met pretty recently. What did we meet? Like a year ago? Less than
Yeah, it was right about a year, even less than a year ago,
yeah,
actually.
so crazy. But yeah, we met in San Diego and I just can't wait to share her beautiful essence with you. So just give yourself a little introduction.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. And yes, Lexi is a wonderful friend of mine. And I'm so grateful to be on here with you all. I've never done a podcast before, so this is really exciting. And I'm very passionate, as Lexi knows, about natural health and wellness. So we're going to talk quite a bit about that today. I'm living in Austin, Texas. I just moved back here after spending a summer in Hawaii. Both are just incredible healing places that have just been like truly an adventure. So I'm really happy to be on here today.
Amazing. And so let's start with how you got into natural health.
So I got into natural health, I would say starting around 20. So I'm 26 now, so that was about 6 years ago. And really what started it all, I feel like it was very gradual at first because I grew up in Ohio and we really didn't have access to that many resources. Now being here in Austin, I mean, you hear all the time about alternative wellness and nutrition, and which is so exciting because I feel like a lot of people are being empowered to take like sovereignty and ownership of their health and are excited in doing so. So yeah, it started when I was about 18, 19. My health started to decline pretty quickly, and I honestly had no idea what was going on. And even looking back at it, sometimes when our health declines, it starts with things we maybe think is normal or what is normalized in like our society. So like allergies or having a headache or just generally feeling, like brain fog or not good. And we just, tell ourselves, oh, like, pop an Advil or this. And I never thought twice about it when I would feel that way or people would tell me that. So, I developed all these crazy seasonal allergies. My friends and I would joke, oh, I'm allergic to everything. And at the time I thought, it's not something I could help. But now looking back, what we know about allergies, it's literally our immune system fighting against things that are truly harmless, pollen, trees, things that just occur every day in the world that should not be recognized by our systems as being harmful. So I started learning a lot about the gut-brain health connection and how 70% of our immune system's in our gut. And so when my health really started declining with things that clearly made me realize something's really wrong, when just the fatigue and joint pain and things got so bad that just someone who at 19, 20 should not be experiencing. So that started a huge just journey of learning and growth. And like, it was definitely something that had a lot of highs and lows, and I would not trade any of it for the world.
Yes. Snaps to that. I as well, like I grew up having I had seasonal allergies. I would like, if I get scratched, especially by an animal, I would turn into like my whole body would turn into hives. It was insane. And I would just take my Zyrtec. I would take all this medicine that my doctor would prescribe me, and I would consistently have it every year. And it was like, what is happening? But it's normal. And then I had like sports induced asthma, which is just like
Right.
all these things. And yeah, I actually didn't heal my allergies until 2 years ago when I saw my acupuncturist, and she completely helped me like reset. I've never had allergies again. And I used to have like
Amazing.
horrible allergies, but yeah, it's just so normal. I was like, oh, everyone has them. Like you can get so many things over the counter to like prescribe yourself, like it's just
Right.
like, yeah. And it's just like so crazy how we think we have such a one-track mind to healing. It's like we're told it's only Western medicine, this is the only way. And I truly believed that for so long. Like I was literally like, I didn't understand that you could actually heal them and not cover up the symptoms. So
Absolutely. And yes, oh, it's so, and like you were saying about the hives and the asthma, like all of these skin reactions, I used to get that all the time, eczema and rashes. We see so many newborn babies coming into this world with it already. And it all goes back to the gut and lack of probiotics. And like you said, I would just listen to my doctor, and when whatever antibiotics or whatever it is I was prescribed, I took, and not realizing at the time, I'm wiping out my gut flora. And yeah, so very happy to hear that you are healed of your allergies. I'm living in Austin. It's considered like allergy capital of the country. There's so many different allergens. So people really experience even like cedar fever, they call it in the winter, like flu-like symptoms from it. So it's definitely something very problematic that a lot of people think that they have to live with and suffer through every day.
Yeah, it's just like the suffering is normalized, like we've mentioned multiple times, but it's we need to change that, change that language and change that norm, because it's not. And I remember I first learned that your allergies are created in your gut through Dr. Stephen Cabral. He's amazing. He studied
He's amazing.
Yeah, he studied all the different natural sciences, and our allergies are created in our gut. And people, when I tell them that, they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's inside of you." So, anyways, let's go in towards your autoimmune and share your journey with that.
Yes. So yeah, like I said, I had taken so many runs of antibiotics for frequent sinus infections I had. And again, I thought those were normal, but starting my freshman year in college, I really started waking up just every single morning feeling like I had been hit by a bus, and just brain fog, just like kind of shooting joint pain throughout my system. I just barely had energy to do anything, to work out, to really, just like do the normal things to function. And I saw several different doctors, told them my symptoms. Every time I would have so many blood tests ordered, immediately check thyroid, check that my different nutrients were up to where they need to be. And a lot of the times things would come back, other than being very low in vitamin D, just everything would come back as normal. And I'd be told, oh, like, you're fine. Like, your tests are showing you're healthy. And now looking back, I know blood tests only show such a small part of the picture of our health. It doesn't show what's going on in our tissues and our muscles and deeply in our organs. So, and it's oftentimes the full panel that we need is not done. So I would have a few thyroid tests taken, but never a full panel. And a lot of times it's those additional tests that show what antibodies are, how many you have against your thyroid. That's not something that was done for a really long time. So I went to probably 10 plus doctors just searching for answers. It was getting to the point where, like, every semester of college, like, I thought I was gonna have to drop out. I could barely do social activities. People, it very clearly, like, I lost color in my face. Like, I had huge dark circles. Like, as you can see, I have a lot of hair, but my hair was like drastically falling out. I had no idea what's going on. I would probably say my biggest thing, and something that so many women suffer from, is my periods just got so out of hand to the point where I was like at a 10 or above on a pain scale of like being flat on my back, like my entire period, with cramps. And just it was debilitating. And so they suspected endometriosis at the time, but I still didn't get a lot of answers through that. Now I've learned so much about estrogen dominance and how we can heal our hormones. And I've found so many wonderful treatments, but really I feel like functional medicine, naturopathic medicine has not become more well known till more recently. I really had to go out of my way at that time. And it was a time where, being in college, we were in college at the same time. We know what that lifestyle is. So every week, people are partying. It's a very like eating whatever they want, drinking however much they want. And I could not do that at all. Like, I knew I became really intolerant to alcohol, and I had so many gut issues. And that even now we hear about gluten-free all the time, but that was still a very new concept then. So basically my whole freshman year, I still ate gluten despite knowing it was giving me issues, because I did not think I could ever do without it or make those changes. But now I'm at a point where throughout the years, I've gotten so creative that it's no big deal to have given up gluten, dairy, sugar, processed foods. Like I've gotten so much more creative with the foods I eat, and I genuinely like love and thrive on eating a diet that works for me.
Mm. Yes, to everything you said. um, there's so many touch points. It's I'm like, oh my gosh. But yes, just the last one you said, that I can never stop eating this. Like I had those thoughts too. I could never stop eating cheese. I could never stop, because I sometimes eat gluten, but I'm like, it's funny how we do these things knowing how we're gonna feel and still continue to do this because we can't stop eating these foods that are harming our body. It's like,
Right.
what? And then also what you said about like not being able to find natural medicine. And I remember being like almost shamed for it. Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
You know, like you're not gonna take the antibiotics, like, you know, like people like give me
Right.
the side eye. And I'm like, yeah, I've never after it's been 3 or 4 years now since I've touched antibiotics, and I've been prescribed it multiple times, and I've always healed without them every time. There's always
Right.
other ways. And I
Absolutely.
personally believe I'll never take antibiotics again.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and it's just so sad how that is extremely normalized in our society. And yeah, will
It
you
is.
can you touch a little bit on about like the effects of antibiotics?
Yeah, I actually did. So just a little bit about what I studied in college. I was actually studying, which is a little bit ironic, healthcare quality and privacy. And so I did a research paper on antibiotic resistance once. And you know how you're always told, oh, you have to like finish your full round of antibiotics and things like that. So I did a lot of research on the effect that antibiotics have on our system. And it was so interesting to find that like even one course of antibiotics could like wipe out a full like species of probiotics in our system. Yeah. It's and you know, we have so many different other probiotics on the market, but to be honest with you, it's very hard to replace what, you know, we were born with and what we're naturally given. So there are definitely some really amazing probiotic supplements that, and as well as fermented veggies that can make it through our gut and colon, because it really depends on like what it's encapsulated in and if it can make it down to our gut to where it needs to go. So definitely all aren't created the same, but yeah, antibiotics, they definitely, for me, actually, I found that it just increased the amount of sinus infections I was getting because it was continually weakening my immune system. And it was just this cycle. And every time it's like, we need to prescribe a stronger antibiotic. We need to do it for longer. And on top of that, antibiotics are often steroids are given. So I found that that combination especially is really harsh on the system. Um, so yeah, that being said, like, you know, I think there's a time and place for Western medicine, but I definitely think the reason antibiotics are so overprescribed is, you know, a lot of times it's even given for things that are like viral that it would have no effect on. So it's very much like a quick fix. You know, people are, you know, and feeling crappy. They're going to the doctor. They're like, I need something now to feel better. And so antibiotic use has just become to the point where it's like the fix for all of those things, for any like mild infections. There's no use in Western medicine of, you know, different herbs that we know about now, like quercetin and anti-inflammatory things we can do, neti pot rinses. I know anytime I've like felt a sinus or anything coming on, like I know what to do now. And I just see so many moms struggling with their kids. Yesterday, I met a mother and her newborn was so badly broken out in eczema. And even as babies, like, you know, so many babies get ear infections and different things. And from a very young age, they're on antibiotics pretty heavily. And, you know, parents do often do the best they can with the information they have at the time. So even my mom tells me I was just, you know, trying to do whatever I could to get you feeling better. You know, she didn't know.
Yeah, that's I see it with my roommate all the time too. Like that's what the doctor prescribed, and that's what his mom and public
Right.
health told him. And it's just like, it's once again, it's just so normalized, and it's we're just not taught about all the other ancient medicines that have been around before Western, and
Yes.
have been around in different cultures, and just
Right.
passed down generation after generation after generation, because they work and they're natural and they don't have side effects. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember when I started educating myself, I was like, what do you mean I just drink a ginger lemon tea and I'll feel better? And it's like, truly, truly, like it helps flush it out. And like, there's just so many natural remedies that really work. And sometimes it might take a day or two longer to heal you. And that's what your body's asking for. Like, I believe also, like, just little things like common colds and stuff come about because we're not nourishing ourselves, our emotional body and our spiritual body. And it's a sign that we needed this rest. We're almost forced to rest. And so it's not supposed to heal in 30 seconds. It's supposed to take 4
Right.
full days, and to trust the process and to trust your body. Like, look how all the time our bodies are healing themselves, like from little minor cuts to whatever. I mean, all the toxins we're surrounded by daily too. Like, our body is
Yeah.
constantly keeping us safe. And so it's just like remembering your body's wisdom and just supporting its natural healing abilities.
Oh, yes. I forget the exact number, but I went a couple years ago to a conference here in Austin called Paleo Effects, and we had a doctor speaking about, yeah, we're exposed to like over 200 pounds of toxins on a daily basis, through the air we breathe, the things we're putting on our skin, what we're exposed to. Um, so actually, yeah, a huge part of my healing journey was switching to all non-toxic everything with my cleaning products, my beauty products. Um, yeah, all of my skincare, all of that changed, and it has honestly made a huge difference. I would never go back to the way I was living before.
Yes, and even now when I'm the same. I live non-toxically too, and now when I'm around those, like, immediately I'm like, oh, you, like when you smell even bleach, or like when you smell
Oh, I know.
like you feel it. Like, once you have the awareness of like how good your body can feel, and once your body's back in alignment, like, you can feel that stuff so quickly. And actually, just this morning I was teaching my roommate, he was putting petroleum jelly on his daughter, and I was like, do you know what that is? And he had no idea. And in case you don't know, petroleum jelly is literally petroleum. It's old
Yes,
oils, it's old animal parts. It's like literally the gunk of all gunk.
it's
It's
terrible.
extremely toxic. And then he's like, well, what am I supposed to use? And I was like, at first I was like coconut oil. And then I was like, oh, no, wait, there's like so many other unpetroleum based, like honey
So
jellies
much.
and royal jellies. And it's just like, but people, it's just so confusing to people. And it was so confusing to me because it's like, well, why is it in the grocery store then?
Hmm.
Why can you buy it at CVS?
Right. And it's so interesting. I never, when I was younger, thought twice about what I was putting on myself. We don't think twice about, in society, we're like, we have to smell good. So, spray perfume, deodorant, all of those things. And so I actually, before I like switched to non-toxic beauty, I thought I was allergic to these things. Like you, when you smell bleach, I couldn't even walk down a cleaning aisle or, be around a candle without having some sort of reaction. And I realized it's so much more than an allergy when you're doing that, because oftentimes when people become really sensitive, it's because your liver is already overburdened with, just everyday life, with what we breathe in the air and those things I was talking about earlier. But then on top of it, when you're putting those things on your skin, when you're surrounded by a lot of them, and you're sensitive, you're going to feel it, and you're going to feel that it's, not good for you. Um, so yeah, even, yeah, the petroleum jelly thing, even like lipstick, there's like tar in it. There's all kinds of yucky things, and foundation and our eyeliner and mascara. Definitely cleaning products. It's people always often, trust and look at things that are FDA approved, but often it takes years for that process to go through. And also a lot of things are approved by the FDA for ingredients that are banned in other countries like Europe. So I definitely, I think a great place to start is the EWG website. gives a rating to all different products from A through F, and it tells you what each ingredient in the product, what the effects may be. So in terms of allergies, reproductive toxicity, etc., which was really helpful. Another app I know of is Think Dirty. Yeah, do you use that one?
Yeah, I use that one. I was trying to look up the other one I have too, but yes, Think Dirty is great because you can just scan the product when you're at the store.
Yeah, it makes it really easy. And a lot of times we get told by friends who maybe are just dabbling into, wanting to change to a little bit more natural products, or a lot of times I find people are so overwhelmed because they're just learning about, oh, these things are bad for me, but I love these things I'm using and I can't just like make a switch like that. And I always tell people like just to focus on like one thing at a time. Like if for this week, it's just going to be one hair product or like one care product. And then, you transition and take it in increments. That's amazing. That's a huge step. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that, a lot of the natural products I use now, I found what works really wonderfully. And I enjoy using all of the essential oils and natural things.
I mean, look, I love essential oils.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing is like, even when you go like plastic free or non-tox, it's like, well, what am I just supposed to get rid of everything and whatnot? I mean, that is your choice, like how you distribute or use the rest of it, whatever you want to do. But it is a process of, like, for instance, some things too, like finding what works for you, because not every product will work and it will take some
Right.
trial and error, and just like having grace with it, and but knowing that like you're making this big change in your life that's going to affect everyone in your life as well. And also when you buy natural products, you're usually like, there's so many local people or like small businesses that make these
Mhm.
beautiful, like truly amazing products, and so you're supporting yourself, you're supporting them, and it's just like this beautiful ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, especially this past year with everything that's been going on, it's never a better time to support small businesses. And I love how you said about how it just not only affects ourselves, like when a mom or dad or a kid in the home decides that they want to make the transition to these products, it's benefiting everyone's health. A lot of times moms I know are like, well, I especially want to be mindful of this because of my kids. I just learned about this all. I want to raise healthy kids. And so, yeah.
I just remembered the other app is called Healthy Living. So that's another one that you can scan products in case Think Dirty doesn't have it. And Carissa was just telling me, I don't have the name at the top of my head, but I'll find it and put it in the show notes. There's one for clothing too, because clothing as well is has a lot of bad things in it. And I know it's overwhelming. People are always like, well then what, like people, I can hear the frustration already of just like, what, I'm supposed to, nothing's good for me, and that whole
Yes. And obviously, we don't want to live in fear around like everything being bad for us, but to the extent that we like mindfully can be aware and change what we can. I personally I don't find it burdensome at all to do those things anymore, but everyone is at different places with it. And yeah, like you said, the clothing, a lot of it's, sprayed with flame retardant and we don't even know it. Or yeah, there's things being made, a lot of clothing being made out of organic cotton because yeah, all of those things. Uh, we think about it when so like what we absorb through our skin is really, we think about what we're eating, but that actually, when we're absorbing it through our skin, it's going straight into our bloodstream. So I truly believe it's just as important, maybe some would say a little bit more important than what we eat, what we're putting directly on us. Because then our liver, that's the organ that is given the job to have to detox and remove all of these external things. And way back when, before all this stuff was introduced, our liver didn't have to do so much work as it has to do now. If we were surrounded by what we're supposed to be, then we would be in a good balance all the time because our liver would just be working normally the way, instead of in overdrive to combat all these things.
Yeah, it's super important that realizing that, like, yeah, I have liver problems, and it's one, because I drank a lot, but like it's all the stuff that my body's constantly. I didn't step into this natural world until like, yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. So I was constantly exposed by chemicals and toxins and putting shitty things in my body, and and so it takes time to heal too. And I think that's another thing, is like this journey it's not a quick journey either. It's like
No.
switch to natural medicine, like it takes longer to heal things, because you've been covering up for so long. Your body has to detox all that stuff that it's been
Right.
dunked inside. And so like it takes time to remove all that, and you're going to get some side effects like acne, or like, you know
Yes.
diarrhea, whatever it is, like that's going to happen. And so just knowing that that's part of it, but to definitely seek support, like find a good naturopath, acupuncturist,
Absolutely.
Ayurvedic practitioner. And also with that, like, know that not everyone is perfect. Like there are shitty naturopaths out there are shitty
Mhm.
acupuncturists. And so don't give up if the first one you try it doesn't resonate. And if right away, like if you're like, this isn't working for me, then look for someone else. Like don't force a
Right.
relationship with a practitioner.
Oh, I love that you brought that up because I've had several friends give it a try for a very brief period of time and just say, "Oh, I don't think this is for me. I didn't really notice like the changes I wanted to see." Or they actually feel a bit worse. And well, one, like you said, it's really important to have the right fit. Some people specialize in something. You have to find what works for you. So like we have so many different diets circulating out there, like vegan, keto. Like some practitioners are going to advocate more for one than another. For me, I find a practitioner that can guide you towards intuitive eating and helping you find out what is best for your body, because I just believe diet's so individual. And yeah, another thing that I find is that sometimes when people start, seeing a practitioner and they're put on a protocol to help remove toxins, or they're removing processed foods and sugar, they'll often feel worse at first because so it's known as like a die-off or Herxheimer reaction. I went through this many times and I wanted to give up because it feels worse than the illness or whatever you're going through itself. Um, Especially if you have a buildup of like heavy metals in your body, or um, candida, like yeast and parasite infections. When those things begin to die, they off gas, and it's hard on your body to remove all of the toxins associated with the process of that being removed. So it's so important to do a lot of the supportive things for your liver and kidneys, and staying hydrated, to alleviate some of those effects. But yeah, I definitely think, like you said, it scares people away, and it's not a short process at all. It's long, and healing's not linear.
It's definitely not linear. I love everything you just said. And so it's so true that like with that process, like it's fucking hard to do this. Like I've done many
Yeah.
different detoxes and many different healing journeys of healing different parts of my body. And it's like you have to I personally have to have support, whether it's my friends, it's like I need my practitioner and I need my friends to hold me accountable, because it's really hard to like go through it. But remember, it's short-term pain for long-term pleasure, like long-term
Love that.
quality of life. Like it's instead of like you've already been trying this. Like if you're just like, well, if you're really scared, it's like you've been trying that short term pleasure for long-term pain. It's like, is that really what you want? Like it's just it's for me, no, absolutely not. Like I'm so sick of just the band-aid effects, band-aid effects, band-aid effects,
Mm,
constantly recycling, like constantly going back to the doctor. It's like I don't want to say it, but I just don't understand why doctors aren't paid for healthy patients. They're paid
right.
for like. So anyway, so it's not their fault. I'm
Mm-mm.
definitely not blaming them. It's definitely that it's all they're educated. Like I recently if you listen to the vegan podcast I put out with the vegan doctor, or the doctor who became vegan is now teaching. She's a lifestyle medicine practitioner now, because in school she was never even taught. She wasn't taught anything about any of this. And so it's not anyone's fault. I'm not blaming anyone, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up because as we talk about, oh, I went to doctor and I didn't get help with this, or it was a band-aid fix. Yeah, I never want to come across that I'm blaming any person. I have so many nurses and doctors in my life that just work to ends meet to just, care for people. And it's not any individual person's fault, our especially studying healthcare in college, we just have a lot of discrepancies within our healthcare system right now. And the education that's being given, Western medicine is very much a, find how we can cure a symptom or, help a symptom go away, looking at like little individual things rather than maybe how everything that this patient is experiencing, from the allergies to the fatigue to everything, could be related to one thing, but we're treating each individual thing. We're treating the allergy, we're treating the hormone problem all like separately. So that's why I think it's so amazing that a lot of these doctors go out and they get a functional medicine certification, which gives them a bigger range to order additional blood tests, really try to go after that root cause approach.
Yes, that was another thing I wanted to mention, was that blood test thing. It's like including my dad and including a lot of people that I know are extremely unhealthy, and they go back and like, my blood results are great, I'm in great health, and I'm like, what? No, you're not. It's like, no, you're not. Look at all the symptoms you have, and look at all these problems you have, and look at all these pills you're taking every day. Like, what do you mean you're in good health? Like, you shouldn't be dependent on any of those things. Like, that is not
Right.
And I'm not saying, like, go anti-medication by any means, but it's just like those tests only provide such a small portion of your actual health. And that's what I love about functional medicine, is that it looks at your whole body as a whole individual. Like, everyone is so different. We've all had different paths in our lives and different things in our lives. And so it takes a look at your whole ecosystem, and it gives you individualized treatment. And every time I go see a natural practitioner, you spend an hour minimum with them. Like, you're not spending 10 minutes with them. Where, like, how can
Right.
anyone get to know you in 10 minutes? Like, yeah, it's just such a different experience. Like, you feel so held and seen, and like you get these like incredible results, and you create this beautiful dynamic with them, and you just learn so much about your own health, and it's really empowering. That's what I find. It's super empowering.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because you do need that extra time. And actually, a lot of doctors, they want to be able to spend more time with patients, but they have to comply with insurance billing. And that's why they're only allotted that bit of time. But yeah, especially when you're really trying to go after something and get to the root of things. I mean, just even, telling a new doctor your history can take hours on end. So
Yeah, like the new patient forms for any like natural medicine doctor I go to is like, it's like 10 pages long, it's really depth, and it's like, whoa. And then I start to see like, oh my gosh, these are all like, this is what this means, and all these little symptoms that you don't even think about, like your cold hands, or um your itchy, like your dry eyes, like all these little symptoms mean
yes,
something. And it's like, the thing that I also love about natural medicine is the root. Like you were just saying, there's a root cause. Like there's something underlying deep down that's like causing everything, and there might be a few things, but it's like there's a cure, there's an answer, there's a cure. And it's so beautiful even hearing stories about people with cancer and people with like terminal illnesses, like heal themselves completely through
oh,
natural remedies. And it happens
amazing.
all the time, but we don't hear about it. But I personally know stories firsthand, like so many. And there's really cool documentaries and stuff out there too. But it's like there's always a way. And just for you, like you have autoimmune disease, and you are not you're doing it naturally.
Yes. Oh, I'm right there with you. I'm a lot of, the healers I have in my circle have healed themselves of cancer and things that, along the lines are very, very serious illnesses. They have brought their body back to a healthy state. And that's so huge, because we think about how, 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women are predicted to get cancer in our generation. And, that can also change at any time, because we see that it's only been increasing, the cancer rates, and it's something that very little research has been put into prevention or really education of it. And how often do we ever hear about concern over just preventing it altogether, and how we can do that at an early age, so that later on our life we aren't developing these life-threatening illnesses that could have been prevented by lifestyle changes early on.
Yeah, and I think that's the really important thing. It's like just because it runs in your family and it's in your genes, that doesn't mean it's your destiny. It's like,
Mhm.
are you living the same way your family is? Are you doing the same patterns? Are you living the same sort of environment? Are you eating the same thing? Like, yes, you're gonna get it if you do the same exact thing. It's like you have the power to change that and to take power over your health and to reclaim your sovereignty and be the healthiest version of yourself. And it's like you're not destined to do that. Like my dad's bipolar, and I've done a lot to take care of my mental health so that I don't have that. And I remember as a kid, I was diagnosed with it, and I was like, no. I was like, I know. I was like, no, no, no. And they tried to put me on medication before, like literally when I was like 5 years old, they tried to put me on medication for being bipolar. And I was like, thank God my mom was like, no. But and in my body, I just remember like being like, I don't want to do this, like, and I don't want to have this label on me. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. So just know that you're not destined just because it runs in your family.
Right. And yes, I love that you shared about your mental health and from a young age. And I see just in our entire time of friendship how much you've prioritized your emotional well-being. And I every single video I've ever seen you put up on social media inspires me to this day to always focus and prioritize that. It's so important. And like you said, sometimes we have this idea of how our life story is going to go based on previous generations or what we may be predispositioned with. But like you said, we get to create and change that. And like you said, it doesn't have to be the outcome. So
Yeah, and just knowing there's so much support. There's so many incredible people out there, and they might not be like like so well known yet because like our world values Western medicine. And I'm not saying you can't do Western, but like try to incorporate something else. If you're not healing, try something else, and don't try
yeah.
another Western doctor. Try a different form. Eastern medicine includes Ayurvedic, which is the oldest medicine out there. It is it's so good. Like I did a podcast on that one too, and I'm gonna have many more practitioners because Ayurveda is amazing. It's the sister science of yoga. There's acupuncture and Chinese medicine. There's functional medicine, which is there's homeopathic. There's so many different avenues. And will you share some of the practices you use, like lymphatic massage and that stuff?
Oh, I will. And I love, like you, I love Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine and for different things. So Ayurveda, I love that it focuses so much on your body type. I very much have a lot of Vata in me, so it helped me understand why I'm so cold all the time, why certain warming foods work so much better for me. And with Chinese medicine, I found that what I love so much about it is that even like your feet or different parts of your body, how they're always able to point it back to different organ systems. I would have pain in my feet for the longest time. So you brought up lymphatic drainage massage. So I have a wonderful lymphatic drainage therapist I see here in Austin, and she does reflexology as well. So she does a lot of work in your feet. And when I was having so many gut issues, the arch of your foot, that's where I would always have pain, is where all of those organs are that it traces back to related to your digestive system. So every time after a session with her, I would just feel so much relief in that aspect. And so speaking of the lymphatic system, it's something so overlooked and not really talked about. I think more people are becoming aware of it, but it's not a system that flows very easily on its own by gravity. So it's definitely something that we have to do work on to keep it pumping. And it's such a large part of our immune system, and removing toxins and waste out. Whenever you're fighting an infection, you may notice you have swollen glands or increased inflammation that's uncomfortable. And so, every day I have a bit of a routine I do. It can be like very easy things that you can do that don't cost a lot of money. Like dry brushing is a great technique to help get it flowing. Rebounding on a trampoline. I actually have a little mini trampoline back there that I use every day that helps get things flowing. infrared sauna. And yes, the lymphatic massage has been, if you've never had one, it's honestly, I think, one of the best things you can do for your body, even if you're not having any kind of chronic health issue. Like, it's just great to keep your overall system functioning really well and as prevention.
Preventative. Let me add to that, because we're not focused on preventative. Like, everyone's like, well, why do you go to the chiro? Why do you do this? I'm like, preventative, it's like, yeah, sorry.
No, I'm glad you brought, like, chiropractic work is huge as well. And I remember my lymphatic drainage therapist telling me a lot of times, so based on the health of your body, like, you may feel some more effects after the lymphatic drainage massage, especially if you may not feel very good after you have to drink a lot of water, and you'll go to the bathroom a lot. And sometimes healthier people, they may not feel all of those effects after, like, they're fully detoxing, which it's a good thing. But just because you're not feeling this huge, like, detox effect, or like that much was done, doesn't mean it's not doing a lot for you to prevent illness in future.
Yeah, it's huge. And our lymph is our liquid immune system, and it's just like, it's so important. So, and I only recently heard about that. Like, I had my first lymphatic massage probably like 2 years ago, and it was so amazing. And she did a little craniosacral, which is another super cool thing. And the new family I'm babysitting for, she had a craniosacral lady help her while she was pregnant and during her birth. So as she was giving birth,
amazing.
she had an at-home birth and had a craniosacral person there helping her through. And she's like, I didn't have pain during my birth. And I was like, yeah,
that is like beautiful.
That's a whole nother topic, but yeah. So it's just so great. Like, there's just so many great, beautiful things. And the last thing I want to touch on really quickly is how we both don't drink alcohol. So yay, share your journey with that a little bit.
I would love to talk about that. So before I started getting pretty sick, like my first year of college, or even when I was a bit sick, I would occasionally drink. Usually it was because I was pressured, everything everyone else was doing. When you're a freshman in college, there's parties available at all times. That's the main social activity to do. And with having all of the autoimmune stuff and already being so inflamed, I would notice, like, I would have like really exaggerated hangovers, like the whole next day just be so out and feeling so sick, my stomach being so upset. And I just really had a realization, like, I cannot do this to myself. Like, this is, my liver's already, struggling with different things, and to just burden it even more. I just knew I wasn't going to be able to heal without taking that out. So it was definitely difficult at first because, and I think anyone who doesn't drink or drink very often has probably experienced something pretty similar, where you do get asked a lot of questions. And if you say you don't if you don't drink, you might just get like a surprise look at first. People often want to know the reason why. So I'm very honest with people that I'm just like, I have some autoimmune things and I just feel better without it. But I also want people to know, like, you don't have to have this big, long explanation of why you don't want to. I know for myself, looking back, even if I weren't to have the health problems I do, I think I just like myself without it. Like, I don't think I wouldn't want to do it anyways. And, everyone's at different places with that. I want to again say there's like zero judgment towards it. I have so many friends that socially drink, and a lot of them really enjoy it. And I just personally, I didn't like the way it didn't give me that feeling that I would like it didn't relax me, or it just wasn't something that I really wanted to be a part of my life. And I don't feel like I'm missing out at all. I know some people think they're gonna miss out, but like, you don't have to let it hold you back from anything. Like, you can go to all the same social activities you want. You can have so much fun. Like, I am a very social person. Like, I'm constantly going to different events of different things that I love. And yeah, I know when you and I made that video of activities to do sober, I kind of told you, I'm like, aren't like people gonna know that like these are things you can do? Or like, doesn't this kind of like come, and you kind of told me, you're like, people really don't know initially like what to do when you take out OA drinking. And after the amount of messages I got after we put up that video saying the suggestions were so helpful and they were just in the middle of transitioning, I was like, you are so right. Like it's been a long time and I kind of forgot that it is a really difficult thing to know like what all you can do without it.
Yeah, it's so funny how people are like, well, that's what we're told. Like, look at all the advertisements. Like, the only way to have fun, the only way to make friends is drinking, you know? And it's like, it's in every commercial, it's in every social media post, it's in all the things that are fun. And so, you know, your immediate reaction is like, I'm gonna be a loser or whatever, you know? And so, but yeah, like now
Right.
to this day, I'm like, I love not drinking. I love all the activities I get to do. I love how I feel when I do them. I love the people I meet, the conversations I have. Like, it is
Yes.
phenomenal. And like we have so much fun all the time. I mean, anytime we hang out and it's like we're doing all this fun shit. Like, so it
Oh,
doesn't
I know.
eliminate anything really. It just eliminates you feeling like how many times I hear how many people have anxiety after they drink when they already have anxiety. So it like adds to the anxiety and then they're out for the day because they're hungover. You know, it's just like it's
Right.
like living life without all those side effects.
Yeah. Oh,
However, yes, you do have to, you're not numbing anymore. So you're faced with your emotions, but that's another topic. But yes, emotions we're supposed to feel emotions.
yes, absolutely. And I love, you are truly someone who lives your life and has a wonderful time. And yes, every time I've been with you from our road trips to any of our fruit, we have a blast. And yeah, I would just love for others to know, that's possible for you too.
Yes, 100%. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your
Thank
beautiful life.
you for having me. This has been wonderful. And it's been like a wonderful reflection. And every time I hear you speak about your lifestyle, like I feel like we just learn bits and pieces from each other. And I
Mhm.
feel like everyone I've talked to in the natural health realm, they just have so many different life experiences and things to contribute. And it's an exciting time.
It is super exciting. And someone wants to learn from you more, follow you, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram as sarah.julia95. That's Sarah with an H. So yeah, I definitely post mostly there. And I will definitely be sharing more health and wellness related and chronic illness related content. So I would love for you to follow me on there and for us to connect that way.
Yes, and one day Sarah's going to be her own health coach, and I'm going to refer everyone to you. Can't wait.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lexi. Have a beautiful day.